Have you ever wondered what it truly means to be ready for the moment that changes everything forever? Jesus told a story of a wedding, but behind the laughter, music, and torches, he revealed eternity's secret. In his tale, 10 virgins, pure and waiting, were chosen to welcome the bridegroom on his wedding night. They carried lamps, their flames meant to pierce the darkness, symbols of hearts prepared to shine for him. 5 were wise, steady, and thoughtful, their minds sharp and their spirits alert to what might come. 5 were foolish, careless, and unprepared, living only for the moment without thought of tomorrow. The wise virgins filled their lamps with oil and carried extra in vessels, knowing the night might delay. The foolish virgins carried lamps with no extra oil, confident that what they had would be enough. The road was quiet as they waited, the night wind whistling, shadows stretching across the silent hills. Hours dragged on, the bridegroom delayed, and weariness crept in like a thief stealing their strength. One by one they drifted into sleep, lamps flickering in the stillness. Their bodies surrendered to slumber. At midnight the cry shattered the silence. Behold, the bridegroom comes. Go out to meet him. 10 virgins leapt up, startled, hearts racing, hands trembling as they scrambled to prepare their lamps. The wise calmly trimmed their wicks, poured fresh oil, and their lamps blazed bright against the dark sky. The foolish panicked as their flames sputtered and died, the oil gone, the darkness swallowing their light. "Give us your oil," they begged, voices desperate, faces pale, their lamps empty and their hearts undone. But the wise shook their heads. "No, for if we give to you, none of us will have enough for the night." They urged the foolish, "Go quickly to those who sell oil. Buy for yourselves before it is too late." Stumbling into the darkness, the foolish ran, their hope clinging to one last chance of redemption. While they were gone, the bridegroom arrived, his face radiant, the sound of joy surrounding his steps. The wise virgins, their lamps blazing, rose to greet him, their light dancing in the night like stars. With gladness, they walked with him into the wedding feast, laughter rising, doors swinging wide in welcome. Then the door was shut. Firm and final, no hand could open it. No plea could change its seal. The foolish returned, breathless and broken, clutching oil but finding only a locked gate before them. They pounded and cried, "Lord, Lord, open to us. We are here, do not leave us outside in the dark." But from within came the voice of the bridegroom, sorrowful yet firm. "Truly I do not know you." The words pierced like fire, the weight of rejection crushing them as darkness swallowed their hope. Jesus ended his parable with a warning, "Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour." The story was not about weddings alone, but about eternity, about the moment heaven's door will close. The oil was more than fuel, it was the symbol of faith, perseverance, and a heart alive with God. Lamps without oil are lives without preparation, appearances without depth, faith without endurance. The wise represent believers who live ready, hearts burning steady, not shaken by delay or silence. The foolish represent those who think appearance is enough, forgetting that true faith must endure. The midnight cry is the sound of Christ's return, sudden and unstoppable, breaking into human history. The shut door is the most dreadful reality of all, opportunity lost forever, no second chance given. This parable is both beautiful and terrifying, a picture of joy for the ready and grief for the careless. For the wise, the feast is eternal union with Christ, the bridegroom who gathers his beloved forever. For the foolish, the darkness is endless regret, a reminder of choices made too late to be reversed. Jesus calls us to readiness, not in fear but in love, to live each day with oil in our lamps. Because when the cry is heard and the bridegroom comes, only one question will matter: are you ready? The parable does not end at the locked door, for its meaning stretches beyond a wedding into eternity itself. Jesus was not simply talking about a feast, but about the kingdom of heaven, the final union of God and man. The oil carried by the wise virgins was no ordinary substance. It was a symbol of something far deeper. Oil in Scripture often represents the Spirit of God, the presence that keeps faith alive through every storm. A lamp without oil burns briefly, then dies, just as a life without the Spirit shines for a moment, then fades. The wise virgins were not wise because they were smarter, but because they valued what truly mattered most. They carried extra oil, meaning they lived in daily preparation, storing up strength for when delays came. The foolish virgins had lamps, yes, but no oil beyond what was visible. Faith in appearance, not reality. How many today live like that? Outwardly religious, carrying lamps, but inwardly empty of lasting devotion. The delay of the bridegroom is the delay of Christ's return, testing the depth of every heart that waits. Some grow weary, their faith flickering, because they thought he would come quickly, yet the night lingers. But the wise endure delays, their oil supply sufficient, because they trusted not in timing but in the Lord. Midnight always comes, when the cry rings out and there is no more time to prepare, only time to respond. The wise rise with confidence, their lamps bright, their faith alive, unshaken by the sudden call of heaven. The foolish scramble in panic, for delay has exposed their lack, and their hearts cannot hide the emptiness. Notice carefully, the wise could not give their oil away, for readiness cannot be transferred from one soul. Salvation cannot be borrowed, holiness cannot be shared, and faith cannot be purchased at the last minute. The foolish begged for help, but they were told to seek oil for themselves, too late to truly gain it. They left in desperation, chasing what they had neglected. But destiny does not wait for late seekers. While they were gone, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready entered the joy of his celebration. Here lies the deepest truth. Readiness is not about looking the part, but being filled with the real oil. A Christian life without the Spirit is like a lamp without oil, bright for a moment, but doomed to fade. The wedding feast symbolizes the eternal kingdom, the joy of union with Christ, promised to the faithful. To enter, one must be ready, not halfway, not pretending, but truly filled with the presence of God. The door was shut, not because God delights in rejection, but because opportunity eventually has an end. Grace is offered freely today, but one day the final call will come, and choices will no longer be changed. The foolish virgins returned, their hands clutching oil, but their delay had already cost them everything. They cried out, "Lord, Lord, open to us." But the voice from within answered, "I do not know you." It was not ignorance, but recognition. He saw they had never truly known him, only the form, never the life. Their tragedy was not lack of desire at the end, but lack of preparation in the time they had been given. Jesus warns us through them. Do not wait until the midnight cry to seek the oil that should fill your lamp. The oil is faith nurtured daily, prayer rising constantly, obedience practiced even in silence and delay. The oil is character shaped in secret, devotion when no one watches, love for God that costs something real. The oil is endurance, the strength to hold fast when answers seem delayed and the bridegroom seems far. The oil is relationship, not religion, intimacy with Christ that no storm, no silence, no delay can kill. The wise were ready not because of sudden effort, but because they lived each day with oil in their hearts. The foolish were shut out because they delayed, mistaking borrowed light for eternal readiness. This parable whispers urgency into every heart. Now is the time to prepare, not tomorrow, not later, now. Tomorrow is not promised, and the midnight cry could sound at any moment, shaking the earth awake. The bridegroom's delay is mercy, giving time for preparation, but his coming will be sudden and final. The oil cannot be bought at the last hour, for faith is not a last-minute purchase, but a lifelong walk. When the door shuts, it will not reopen, for the feast of eternity welcomes only those who were ready. The parable calls us to live with lamps burning, hearts prepared, oil ready, eyes fixed on the bridegroom. For when he comes, the world will divide into only two groups, the wise who are ready and the foolish who are not. And the only question left to answer will be this: when the midnight cry is heard, will your lamp still shine? The story of the 10 virgins ends with a shut door, but its echo reaches into eternity, warning every soul. Jesus wanted his listeners to feel the weight of those words, "I do not know you," spoken by the bridegroom. It was not cruelty, but truth revealed. The foolish virgins had no true relationship, only the appearance of one. And so the parable stands as a mirror. forcing us to ask whether we are living wise or living foolish. The wise virgins entered the wedding feast, stepping into a joy no darkness could ever steal away. Imagine the scene. Laughter filled the hall. Music rose like rivers. Light sparkled from every corner. The bridegroom smiled upon those who had waited faithfully, their lamps blazing with steady flame. They were not honored because of perfection, but because they had been ready, filled with oil that endured. The wedding feast is the picture of heaven itself, the union of Christ with his people forevermore. No hunger, no sorrow, no delay would remain. Only the everlasting celebration of the King with his bride. But outside the shut door, the foolish virgins stood in despair, their cries swallowed by the night. Their lamps glowed faintly with newly bought oil, but it was too late, the chance forever lost. And so they represent those who wake too late, seeking salvation after the final call has already come. This parable is not only about watching, but about choosing daily to carry the oil of true devotion. Jesus did not say when the bridegroom would come, because readiness is not about guessing times. Readiness is about living every day as if the cry might come tonight, preparing for eternity now. The delay tests hearts, revealing who waits faithfully and who drifts into careless slumber. The midnight cry is sudden without warning, a call that divides the faithful from the unfaithful. Once the door shuts, it is final. For eternity has no second chances, no bargaining, no pleading. This is why Jesus said, "Watch therefore, because no man knows the day or the hour of his return." The parable speaks not only of his second coming, but of the reality of death, which comes suddenly too. When life ends, our lamps must already be filled, for no oil can be borrowed from another in the grave. Parents cannot give faith to children. Pastors cannot hand salvation to followers. Friends cannot share readiness. Each soul must carry its own oil, its own faith, its own living relationship with the bridegroom. The wise prepare through prayer, obedience, holiness, and trust, keeping their lamps burning every day. The foolish delay, assuming tomorrow will come. Forgetting tomorrow is never guaranteed, and when the final call sounds, the wise will rise with joy, but the foolish will tremble with despair. The parable leaves us with two eternal pictures: the joy of the feast and the sorrow of the shut door. The joy of the feast is unspeakable, the embrace of Christ, the songs of angels, the banquet of heaven. The sorrow of the shut door is unbearable, the silence of rejection, the weight of eternal loss. This is why Jesus spoke with urgency, not to frighten, but to awaken hearts before the cry comes. His words still echo across centuries. Be ready, for you know neither the day nor the hour. The oil of readiness cannot be faked, for the midnight hour exposes who is real and who is not. Those who live in true devotion will shine, while those who only pretend will be swallowed by darkness. Yet hope remains today, for the door is not yet shut. The bridegroom has not yet arrived. Now is the time to gather oil, to seek the Spirit, to live faithfully in the waiting hour. Now is the time to wake from slumber, to trim our lamps, to keep our flames burning for the Lord. For when the cry is heard, it will be too late to run, too late to borrow, too late to prepare. Eternity will divide humanity into two groups, those who entered the feast and those shut outside. The wise will rejoice forever, while the foolish will weep at doors that will never open again. And so the parable ends not with a wedding, but with a warning that cuts through every generation. The wedding feast is ready, the bridegroom is coming, and the cry will soon shatter the silence of night. The only question left is not whether he will come, but whether you will be ready when he does. The wise choose now, while there is time, to live filled with oil, lamps burning with unshakable light. The foolish delay, but in the end, delay is the costliest mistake any soul could ever make. So hear the words of Jesus. Let them burn in your heart. Watch therefore and be ready, for the bridegroom will surely come, and the feast will surely begin, and eternity will not wait. And when the midnight cry is heard, may your lamp be burning, your oil be full, and your heart prepared. For to the ready, the door will open wide, and the voice of the bridegroom will say, "Welcome home." But to the unprepared, the door will close. and the voice will whisper, "I do not know you." The parable of the 10 virgins is not just a story. It is a call, an alarm, a trumpet for the soul. And its final lesson is simple yet eternal. Do not wait. Do not delay, for the bridegroom is coming soon. Make sure to hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss our next video, where we'll be talking about the parable of the sower and its meaning to use.